Purpose of this video is to show you a template that I've created to assist bookkeepers in using ClickUp for their workflow. A lot of other workflow applications already have the structure, and essentially they dictate how their product is to be used. ClickUp, on the other hand, is quite a blank canvas. It can be set up in any way that you want. I've found that this has been a bit overwhelming for bookkeepers. So the purpose of this template is really to do all the heavy lifting for you, to create a template with statuses, custom fields, different views. A lot of the work is already done for you, and you can just enter your client data and move forward. So with the ClickUp hierarchy, this is my consulting workspace. So this is my ClickUp account. Then we can have different spaces. So the space that I'll create is a client work template. If you are wanting to have an area for your operations, for example, your CRM, you can have a space for that. Robyn has created an amazing business hub, so that can also be another space. So essentially, in this client workspace, this is where all of your client information resides and all the work that you do for your client. So the way that I've set up ClickUp is I have my space for my client work, and each client has its own folder. Within that folder, we have lists. And so these lists is really how we divide the work that we do for our clients. So we've got a bookkeeping list. So this can be for our weekly payroll, our fortnightly bookkeeping, any ad hoc tasks that the client wants us to complete. So all of those tasks will reside in this bookkeeping list. We've then got month end, and within this template, I provide a few suggestions for month end, but essentially we have the task for the end of month. We have our lodgements. So these are all the lodgements that we do for our clients. And we have year end. So these are all the tasks that are completed at the end of the year. So within these main lists, it includes all the work that we do for our clients. The additional lists provide areas that we use within our business to service our clients. My philosophy with ClickUp has always been I want to find what I need in 30 seconds or less. So I need to have an area that I can go to that will provide that information. So I've created a few additional lists for that purpose. So I have a communication list. This is an area that we can record all of those, whether it be a client meeting, talking to HR Central about a client, talking to the accountant, or the accountant provides information for that client. Then we have employees. This won't be relevant for all of your clients, but there might be some that they provide you with the information and you need to set up for their employees. So, what this task here allows you to do is for each employee, you can record all that information about the employee. You can keep track of their, if they're an apprentice, you know, when they're moving over, when their rate is going to change. If you have any discussions with the client about the employee, that can all be recorded in this one area. And we have the asset register, which is really used again for being able to contain all of the information for our clients in the same place. So we have custom fields for all the different documents that we require. So again, it's just very quick and easy to locate what we need. And an onboarding or an offboarding, you might have a checklist for these specific tasks to make sure that you've added them to all of the workflows, to your portal, and then the documents that you require from your clients. So your letter of engagement, your STP annual authority, you might have a direct debit authority. So you can see from this folder, everything that you need for that client is all contained here. Now at a folder level, so for that client, we now have the ability in this overview area, and I'll just minimize so that you can have the full effects. So these are the different views that you can have for that particular client. So this overview provides the different lists. It also provides an area for bookmarks. So this is an area that you can grab the URL for the specific SharePoint folder. It might be the HubDoc account for that particular client. Anything that you need for that client to do the work, you can add a bookmark for. I've pre-built in a client information doc. So this is where you can have all of those, when you're onboarding a client, there's always information that you request of them. And this is an area that you can contain all that information. If you're wanting to, I always, for my new clients, will look at ABN lookup, and I'll take a screenshot of the particulars. If you've got any outstanding lodgements, integrated client account balance. So these are just some general details about the client. It can be customised for your needs, and that can be captured here. And the client manual, again, a doc that can be customised for you. These are just some areas, the scope, your deadlines, information about the specific bank accounts. If you've got any client specific information, do they use another app? All of that sort of information can be stored here. Payroll's another. that can be quite specific to the client, so you can have all the information at a glance. The other areas on this overview, we've got just a snapshot of that client information. I find it particularly useful if you have staff. You're wanting to provide them with the information that they need where they need it. So I would have this open on another screen, and as I'm doing the work, I now have this accessible so that I can open up all the programs. If I need to review anything specifically, I've got that, and I've got all this other information as well. There's an area for some notes, reminders. It might just be as you're processing the work, you can just make a note of something that you want to speak to the client about later. So this is an area that, as you put in the client work and have due dates, you'll be able to filter for all the tasks that you need to do for this client for the month, for example. These can be customized very easily. This is just what I've created initially, but you can have tasks this week. You can have different filters to see different types of work. The other is overdue tasks. So that would give you a very good snapshot of what work that you need to complete for that client. And here is the communication. So again, sometimes we do need to refer back to previous conversations, whether that be with the accountant or the client. And again, it's just a really great area to quickly and easily have that information available. So ClickUp also provides you with different views that you can have, and these are all at the folder level, so for each client. And so I've pinned a few up here. I think the overview does a really good job of that now, but we can add different views. It's really about what information you require and your team require in order to be really comfortable about where the work is at, what work is coming up, just to give you that peace of mind that everything's been covered. So we have the weekly view, overview, communication. Again, we can have that in the overview. This is a table view, so you can have all of your employee information. You've got access to all of their forms if you need to quickly, and the same with your assets. So that's what it looks like at a folder level. And then a space level, that's where you can see all of the work for all of your clients. So you could have it this week, next week, this month. Again, it's about working with you to decide what information will help you with your client work to, reduce that overwhelm, to feel like you know exactly where the work is at any time. So, to assist in, I guess, that overall view of your specific tasks, we've got some custom fields that will help you to see where things are at. So we've got our weekly bookkeeping task. We can see our assignee, our due date, the status. So a status is the different progress that a task can go through. A lot of workflows assume that a task is in progress or complete. For bookkeepers, we know that that's not the case. And so these statuses are a way that we can easily identify where that task is in our workflow. So there are a number of occasions where, we start the work, but we need a bank statement or we need information from the client. So we've got these waiting internal. If it's something that our team needs to work on, we've got waiting external, which is, it could be the client, it could be the accountant, and you can also, add different statuses that suit what you want to see. Ready to review. So this might be a status. It's a status I use a lot. Staff work through the task to a certain level, and then I review. And this is probably the most common, is waiting for authority. So we can quickly see where the work is based on the status that it is in. I also include a notes field. So I can see that we're waiting. The notes can assist in identifying what we're waiting on. And this sort of information, I think, is really important if it's not yourself that's doing all the work. And let's be kind to our future selves. Sometimes we're very busy, we've got lots of clients, we've got lots going on. So the more information that we can provide to ourselves and to our team, the easier the process is going to be. And a progress tab. So, if we've worked through a number of the subtasks, so the steps to complete the work, we can see that progress bar here. So this sort of format, you will notice at each of the list levels that provide the workflow. So at a client level, at a folder level, we'll be able to see where all of the work for that client is at. And then when we're at a space level, this is where we can get an overall view of all of the work for all of our clients. So we've looked at the different statuses and we've discussed some of the custom fields. I've created a number of custom fields that provide information that can assist you in the task, and also all of the information that you need to keep for the client. So, one of the most important custom fields is this type of work custom field. So, this is how you can identify what work that you're doing for the client. And I've included quite a comprehensive list. There might be some work that you do that is specific to your business or the state in which you have clients. And what this custom field enables you to do is, by identifying the type of work that you're doing, you can then use that as a filter in order to create views or create dashboards. So it's a way that you can filter all of the tasks in your ClickUp for your clients into those specific buckets, if you like. I prefer to do that in a dashboard. So, for example, I have a dashboard for each quarter because I like to see exactly what work I have to do, what client work is left to do, where that work is, and having that type of work then allows me to filter for that specific work. So I can see how many July, how many August, the super, the BAS. You can create different types of information and include it in your dashboard. So custom fields really help you to filter the information that you want to see. So if you're wanting to move forward and look at this template, we can certainly look at the different ways that you would like to see your tasks. And when we discuss your requirements, we will talk in a bit more detail about recurrences and how you want to see your tasks to recur. As I mentioned before, there are a few options. You could have a single task, and that can recur each month. So you've got an end of month that will recur each month. Now, ClickUp doesn't necessarily have placeholders, although at the time of recording this, which is September 2025, they do have a new automation which will enable us to create the ability to change the name of our task. And Robyn and I are working on some videos and working on an automations program that will allow us to provide that information for you. It is very new for ourselves and for ClickUp. So the solution that I've come up with over my journey with ClickUp and with other bookkeepers that I find is, I guess, the most simple solution. And that is to have an annual recurrence. So it means that we set up a task for each month, and the July end of month will recur annually. The August end of month will recur annually. That way we have set up the type of work for each task, and it is a simpler, cleaner way for you to be able to identify each task that we're doing for our clients. In an ideal world, we'll have our July end of month well and truly completed before we're ready to start our August end of month. Unfortunately, I know a lot of bookkeepers have some clients that we don't always have the information available. And so it might be August end of month time, but I still haven't been able to complete my July end of month because I'm still waiting on some information. From a client point of view, I do like to see each task that is outstanding. So personally, I like to see that I haven't completed July and then August still needs to be completed. We can work with you in terms of the different types of recurring and how it might best suit your business and your clients. The same with our lodgements. So for bookkeepers, we've got the same lodgements that we complete for our clients on an ongoing basis. Whilst this looks rather overwhelming, in this particular template, I've included all of the different lodgements that you might have for each client. And when you're duplicating this folder for each client, it will simply be a case if they don't have payroll, for example. Well, we don't need payroll tax, we don't need super, we may not need IAS, and you can just scroll through. They may not have child support. You can scroll through and then bulk delete all of the tasks that aren't relevant for that particular client. I just find it can be easier to have everything available and then delete what we don't need instead of having to add the information per client. But that will be, a personal preference for yourself as to how much work you want to put in this new client template to then roll out for your future clients. But really, the purpose of this template is to allow you to have all of the areas of information that we need for our clients. And I think the QMS is something that's really focused our attention on being able to have, all of the comments, all of the information that relate to, each of the tasks that we do for our client. And, this is where ClickUp, I think, is so great in that respect, is that, within a particular task, and I will give an example, if we're looking at, let's say, a payroll task, we can have screenshots of the timesheets We can have, comments about the particular employee. We can email our client about something specific to do with that particular task. Within the task, we can link to our payroll notes so that the employee has everything that they need in order to complete that work. So for me, that's the beauty of ClickUp, is that you can have everything pertaining to your client all in one place. So I hope that that's given you a bit of an idea of the template that we offer. So we'll provide you with this client workspace that will be filled out. We've got a new client template. So this then can be duplicated for each of our clients. That will give us the consistency. We'll have areas for all of the work that we need to complete. It also includes those other areas of reference that I think is really important. Communication, I think, is another that the QMS has really focused our attention on. And, there's nothing worse than, that you've got some information from a client, you can't remember where you put it. Was it, in your Outlook? Is it on a sticky note? Is it, in OneDrive, in OneNote, on a piece of paper? And I think this is where ClickUp can really be that complete package, that it can provide you with, an area for all the work you need to complete for your client. And all of those other areas that, for reference. You can open up this page, you've got the client overview, you can click onto all of the links. It can open up Dext, it can open up HubDoc. You can open up, Xero, their Xero file, if they use ServiceMate. So it's a real one-stop shop, if you like, for all of the information for your client. Their SharePoint folder, you know, if you've got a URL, then, you can insert it in here. So if you think this particular template would be of assistance, then please get in touch. There's a link to a form in our bookkeeping resources YouTube, and I can work with you on identifying how this setup could assist you in keeping a track of all of the information for your client work.